Start this shit. Okay, here we go.
0, 1. Let's get started.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Black and White United Show. I'm your host, Andreas. Thank you so much for tuning in this evening. Not the result that we were after. A bit humbling. Lots to get through. I'm going to try and keep it as short and sharp as possible because at the end of the day, it just wasn't our night. But anyway, let's just crack straight into it. Before we jump straight into all the what ifs and the moments in the games, and I took a bunch of notes, which I'm not even going to go through and stuff. The main thing that cost us this game, even to the point where I think we may not even have won if this was different, but it puts so much pressure back on the opposition and gives us so much more momentum. We were absolutely peppering the forward 50 in so many stages of the game. Even when they had complete control, we were still going up forward. The biggest thing that we need to fix is the goal kicking. I mean, at one stage during the game, we had 16 inside 50s and our score was 0 goals, 5 behinds. We had 7 scoring opportunities or goal scoring opportunities on the run within the first half of the game, and we didn't convert any of them. And I think that's a big issue that we have to fix. Even when the game was done and dusted, we were still missing easy ones, which probably would have made the scoreboard look a bit more flattering for us. But you still got to put them away. Those players, one in particular was Bobby Hill. 2-3 weeks ago in the Indigenous All-Stars games, he's popping those through regardless if we're winning or losing or whatever. So I'll get to before we go straight into the negatives and stuff like that, let's just try and look at some positives of the game. One, the game's done. That's probably one of the biggest positives that we can take out of it, and that we didn't get any significant season-ending injuries. Nick Dacos obviously cramped up. Hoskin Elliott's got a lower back tightness issue. That was pretty much it. We welcome back Dan Houston next week into the team for his first game. We're back home at the MCG. No excuses really, but we should have won that game. We should have really taken control of that game early and put it to bed. End of the day, it obviously didn't work out for us. But the positives are, I thought Darcy Cameron, that game in particular, even though the scoreboard didn't reflect it, was one of his best games that he's played for us, and he's played a few good ones. I thought he was fantastic all around the ground, very reliable up front. He took some good marks. Goal kicking wasn't the greatest, but he took some good, strong contested marks when he went up forward. His ruck was, I didn't think his ruck was really much of an issue, but his work around the ground was fantastic. Harry Perriman's first half, especially his first quarter, he finished up with a total of, I think it was 27 disposals for his first game for the club against his old club. His first half, especially as I said, that first quarter, I thought he was fantastic. Again, he's one of those players though, he was going for goal, doing snaps and stuff like that, and he's missed them. I think he kicked 2 behinds, 1 behind. Now, you can forgive him because of the circumstances of the game, and he was one of our better players. If he had kicked a goal early, it sets a different tone. And I think that's something that we missed, especially in that first half, in that first quarter in particular. As the game went on, going into the second quarter, the third quarter, you could really see that GWS was starting to get a real good strangle on us. Yes, we were pushing it forward. Yes, we looked okay in certain areas around the ground. But they're hitting us on the turnovers. They hit us so hard when they were countering attack, the ball would just go over the top, or we had pushed too far up forward and there was just too many holes around the ground, and it was 2 kicks, pinpoint, bang, into the forward line, goal, or scoring chance. Their goal kicking wasn't the greatest either, but it was a lot better than ours, and at the end of the day, that's what cost us. I'm not going to get too worked up over it. I was pretty pissed off, I'm not going to lie, when I watched the game, as we all probably were. However, I would rather have these problems now than have this issue of like no team connection. We dropped our heads, our system didn't work, we got outrun. I'd rather have this now and in our first 5 games drop 2 or 3 of them than happen towards the end of the season or lose 4 in a row and cost you a spot in the finals or potentially a spot in the top 4 in a home final. I'm still looking this high. There's another point I'm going to make towards the end, which is very important, but I'll get to that in a second. The one issue that we need to really fix up over the next 6 days until our game against Port Adelaide, which is going to be no easy walk in the park either. They're only missing Butters. That's it. The biggest thing that we have to work on is our tackling. 59 to 39 tackles. Now, for a team that's chasing the ball, for a team that's losing, for a team that's, getting like broken apart on the counter attacks and stuff like that, your tackle count has to be higher because you're chasing the ball. Their tackle count was higher and they had the ball more often. That's how much they outplayed us. It's a big stat. For them to tackle us 20 more times and for them to have the ball more than us is a big issue. Now, I'm going to hope and pray to the football gods that this was, this was just one of those games away from home where it didn't click and we shake it off early. I'd rather have these problems now at the early in the season, round 0, whatever, opening round, we get it out the way. The biggest issue is, though, these small problems can become season-long, season-ending problems extremely quickly. And we can't allow ourselves to get to that position. There's a few things I'm going to touch on next, and we'll just do a little bit more of a review. So our 3 forwards, the triple M's, how did it work out? I found at the start of the game, we were kicking the ball very high and very long, like those hospital sort of kicks, and they were trying to drop them into the danger zone for the triple M's to mark. I noticed a lot of times in the big packs, we were getting in each other's way. And when the game was almost dead and buried, or it was dead and buried, and in like the end of the third quarter, start of the last quarter, where we kicked a couple of goals, we were actually getting the ball, running it through the middle or on the flanks, and cutting it straight in and kicking it directly to a leading target. I think we should have done that more at the start of the game, as opposed to getting the ball in and just bombing it long and hoping for a big mark or bring it to ground and the forwards to crumb. That stuff's great when it works, but we should be pinpointing, and there should be 3 forwards leading at the ball in all different directions. And I didn't see that. Obviously, I was watching on a TV screen, so you're only limited to what you can see. But there was like 3 or 4 occasions, especially in the first half, when we were still within the contest, they were getting the ball. And I'm just worried this microphone is going to tip and you can't hear me. I was worried that they're just getting it and bombing it long, and everyone's just crashing the pack and stuff like that. And even the smalls are getting inside the talls way. On the smalls, I know Lockie Schultz didn't have the greatest day, but I thought he found himself in good positions, and he probably needs to just get this game done and dusted, get it out of the way. But I thought he found himself in good spots. He just didn't do too much with it when he had it, or he may have not have done the tackle that we needed, or vice versa. GWS are really good on stopping Josh Dacos's impact off the half-back line. We've got to understand too, the practice game against Richmond, even though we had a good side in, there is a big difference between GWS and Richmond. And at the moment, how I see it is that we're somewhere in the middle, where they're going to be pretty much towards the top. I was completely wrong with my ladder prediction that I did last month or the month before. I had GWS falling out of the top 8. I stand corrected. I think they are a serious premiership contender based on that single performance. Now, it's a long season. All these things can happen, but when you got a player like Finn Callaghan doing what he did, when there's no Green in the middle, there's no Jesse Hogan, and then you got to add Jake Stringer into that side as well, there is a big plethora of positives for GWS and the way they played. I thought at times we were our biggest enemy during that game. What do we need to do moving forward? Well, for starters, if Nick Dacos is cramping up, I think the biggest mistake we made as a coaching group for this game, or the coaching group made, was not subbing off Nick Dacos. I understand Hoskin Elliott was sore, but I would have subbed off Nick Dacos and then left Hoskin Elliott out and played with a less number and not risk any further injury. Hopefully he's okay going into next week because we are going to need him fully fit. Hopefully the pickle juice kicks in on the plane on the way home. There's so much more to talk about, but I don't want to drain it too much. Ed Allen's first half I thought was fantastic. Died out, got a bit nervy with the ball and stuff like that as the game went on, especially when GWS got on top of us. But his first half, his first quarter, very impactful. Lipinski, you just need to see more from him at that stage, as you do with McCreary. And look, I can go through every single player if we really wanted to, but we'll be here for ages. Darcy Moore, though, I will say, needs to take more marks instead of punching the ball out of bounds or punching it forward to clear. If he's got no man and he's clearing a contest, I know he's a great defender, big spoils. Yep, you got to get the punch away, get the ball out of there. But there's so many chances he can take a mark and he can actually then hold the play up or take it and run forward because there's nobody on him. And look, that'll happen as the season goes on. I didn't think Reef was too bad during the game either. I thought he had his moments where, like, I think it was in the first quarter or the third quarter, he got the ball and in the middle and was free. And then as soon as the GWS player started running at him, he just chucked on the boot again, high up and under kick. You got time. And I think sometimes we are a very good football team and we actually have a lot of time, even against good opposition. We're just got to use it a bit more better than what we did. And I'm hoping they can implement that against Port Adelaide, which we'll do that in a match preview later in the week. There's going to be a lot of narratives written about Collingwood, obviously in the media. Kane Corns is going to absolutely smash us during the week. A lot of journos are going to jump on Collingwood now and say, oh, they're old, this, that. As opposed to the practice game against Richmond only a week or so ago, everyone was like, oh my God, the Pies are back, they're slick, this, that. It's all great. We're going to cop so much criticism and we're going to cop so much praise week by week, depending on our results. So don't buy into so much of the bullshit. After the bye week, which is like the King's birthday game, if we're not doing too well, then you can start really buying into it because the season's obviously progressing and we're not doing too much. But until then, don't buy into it. Don't let it bring you down. It's one bad game. It's disappointing because we waited so long for the season to start. But at the end of the day, footy's back. This is the most important of all the non-important things. Just don't buy into the stuff. Listen to the content creators. Talk to your mates. Be positive. It's one game. I have full faith in this team. We'll just see what happens. It wasn't our day. We got beaten by a better side on the day. Yes, they had stars missing. But remember, we had stars missing as well. I'm not saying we would have won if we had them all in, but we would have given it a better shot. No excuses, though. We need to keep going and we need to keep pushing forward. Now, on another note, there is an announcement happening on my Instagram tomorrow around lunchtime. Around between 12 and 1 o'clock, there'll be an announcement on my Instagram. If you haven't already, please go into the bio on my YouTube page and follow the and go to the Instagram link, follow Instagram. There's going to be an announcement. And if it all goes to plan, which it's 99% going to plan, Tuesday night, 8:30, the live is going to be something special. We also have our hoodies. We're just about to do the Shopify link. If you like what you see and you want one, they're super comfy. The Shopify link will be posted by the end of this week. We're just getting all that sorted out at the moment. Get yourself a hoodie. But drop a comment. Tell us what you thought about the game. It's not all doom and gloom. It's just one game. Call it as you see it. Tell me what you think. At the end of the day, go the Pies.